Hey, Coach. So happy you found us on YouTube. Couple things. First of all, make sure you go subscribe and like. That's really important. Second thing is make sure that you go over and check out tryouts.com for coaches who want to get better. It's a one-stop shop for basketball coaches. It's the Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime, whatever you want. It's got a little bit of everything, but it's also got a community of like-minded coaches will help you become a better basketball coach. Go over and check it out. Let's head off to the video.
All right, welcome to High School Hoops. Almost said Coach Unplugged. High School Hoops. Before we jump in, I'd like to give a big shout out to our two sponsors. First of all, Dr. Dish, the #1 shooting machine on the market, bar none. I'm going to tell you they're getting a lot of use in our gym right now, and our shooting percentage. I mean, I think the first 30 minutes, because they all have different classes, so I set them up right. I said we have 3 of them, but I set 2 of them up because I wanted to leave other baskets open and for some other skill work. And I think because I get down there as fast as I can, and then they kind of, depending on where their classes is and what they're doing after school, it takes them 15-20 minutes to get down there. So then the kids at Bus Bound can get, I think they're getting I think each machine's getting 400 or 500 shots up before practice goes. So that's awesome. So mention High School Hoops or Coach Unplugged to get $400 off, or mention me. Also go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. The one-stop shop for basketball coaches. Had some great community members join recently and are learning a lot. So it's pretty exciting. And
that's how I'm really, Steve usually puts me in charge of designing the topics. And so I would encourage people that are part of our Facebook group, one with 71,000 members, which is, I think, an awesome, the coolest basketball community around.
Camp Randall. That's where the Badgers play, man. When I start thinking about it, it freaks me out a little bit.
That's awesome. And I love these specific questions. And even when you guys put down the different grade levels, because that really helps us for our podcast.
I know, and Jake's working on some stuff for Teach Hoops too right now. Yep. He actually sent me a screenshot. I didn't actually believe it until he sent me a screenshot. It's pretty funny.
And it should be in the folder tonight. So
no, you're kidding. No.
Yeah. I know.
All right, teachhoops.com members.
My students still love their seat cushions, Coach. Thank you, by the way.
Do they? I hope they
love
do.
them, dude. I know. I'm sure it made your heart melt. It's pretty awesome.
It made me feel really good. It made my day, actually. It made my day when I was able to do that.
Coach donated to Donors Choose, which got my classroom seat cushions for floor so they can play with Legos and do partner reading. And I sent him some pictures, and he was really excited.
Coach is in Milwaukee, and I'm in Madison. So we take care of, I don't know, maybe half the population in the U.S. in Wisconsin. In Wisconsin, it's probably half of it, maybe not half, maybe a third, but
it's a high abundance. Yes,
it's a high abundance of kids live in Madison, Milwaukee, and Wisconsin. Yes,
but you
the WIA forgets that often. But yeah, go ahead.
I deal with first graders, and you deal with seniors. So
yeah,
developmentally they're about the same,
especially after spring break. I'm telling you. I don't know if I've ever said this in this podcast. Seniors after spring break are like freshmen. They're probably more like first graders or second graders. And there's invasion of the body snatchers. They just, when they come back from spring break, because they're scared, they're excited, they're all this stuff. And
it's a whole lot of emotions.
It's a lot of emotions. And they act very immature. Trust me. I know. All right. What's today's topic?
Well, I've been following your team all year, watching lots of film, giving you feedback. And I think it would be very beneficial for our listeners to talk about your approach this year towards the playoffs in real time.
Yeah.
Is it different than years past? Obviously, it's going to be different because every team is different. The teams that you're playing might be different. And so obviously it's always going to be different. But with you not being in the playoffs last year due to COVID, is it even is it even 100 times different?
It is literally like it's my first or second year coaching. And I'll give a couple stories. One is we were playing one of our rivals, Madison West, and we met in the locker room before we headed over. And I literally on the whiteboard told them where they needed to sit when they went in and where the locker room was, because they have no idea. There's no historical history or handing down. Like next year, they'll all know where to go and they'll know where to sit. I won't have to say any of that stuff because the upperclassmen will take care of the underclassmen kind of thing.
Right, but you people, listeners have to understand, you have a lot of sophomores and you may have a freshman. So some of these people have never been in these facilities.
Right.
Like, we're not talking about juniors that lost their junior season that are seniors. We're talking about kids who have never been exposed to anything within your league.
It is the first time that I've never coached. Like I'm coaching kids I've never coached any of them. And even when I took over the job at Memorial 25 years ago, I was a JV coach. So I'd coach some of them. So this is all new. So there's no historical stuff. So from a standpoint of change, totally different. Like we have a bunch of traditions that we do come tournament time and they don't know them. So I'm going to have to, over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to have to teach them some of the things that we're going to do for tournament. And, just this is how we do this. And this is how we prepare for this. And this is how pregame works. And this is how this works. And some of them, to be honest with you, we can't do because we're still under kind of restrictions as far as gatherings and
so, I mean, from a coaching staff, one thing that I've noticed is that, man, you have an abundance of film about anybody and everybody that's in your section. I mean, how are you able to, is that an approach that you meet with your staff right early in the season? Or is that something that's always how you always approach it? Obviously, you've won state titles. You know the recipe for success.
I want more. So it's the stats teacher me. I want more information rather than less information. So I want an abundance of information. And it's similar to how I coach. If you ever watch on a timeout, I don't go to the huddle, especially in a full right away or even in a 30. I'm going to talk to my assistant coaches.
You do. I've noticed that you do a really good job of saying, what do we need to do? And then we want to give them, and we've talked about this in our podcast about timeouts and how you really just got to focus on what a specific thing. You could hammer them 100 things, but like,
so I don't need to go over there right away. I need them to drink and relax for a second.
Right.
And I need to gather my thoughts with my assistant coaches. And then going back to what we were just talking about with information, there'll be no difference. There'll be no different in tournament time than now. But I'll gather those coaches and say, what do you see? What should we be in offensively? What should we be in defensively? Any other changes? And they'll all throw stuff at me. And then I'll grab what I think is right and then go back to the huddle. So they don't take it personally if they say, hey, we should go zone and I stay man. Like they're just giving and they know they got 5 to 10 seconds to give their comment and their reasoning. And I just want information. So that's similar to film. I want information. And if it's too much, I'll just get rid of some of it or I won't even look at it. But I'd rather have too much information than not enough. I want my sample size from the sample stats.
And you want your sample size to be as current as it could be, right?
Current, so we November game means nothing. Like nothing I have literally,
because lately your huddle account has been like, whoa, like exploded with so much film, right?
Yeah.
Because you're trying to get the most recent of everybody.
Of everybody. Because I have done this like the second time we played in Janesville, Craig, we lost to them the first time. And again, very young, inexperienced. So I showed my guys that tape. And then I said, watch this. And they were like, I'd go, we were bad. And so November tape and late February, March tape should not, if your
and especially your team in general, you're looking at like you're peaking at the right time. We just had a conversation before this, right? You've won 8 out of the last 11 games.
Yeah.
And so I mean, obviously one of your approaches is just I would say, and I'm not speaking for you, is if I was in your predicament and I've been in this situation where teams start to peak and play really well at the end of the season, is that what you want to build off of, right? That positivity. Look at where we've come, right?
Right. And the thing is, we were struggling early, and I was talking to you about this when we had our COVID shutdown in late December, 10 days of nothing and all that kind of stuff. I'll use an analogy here. We were down 17 against our crosstown rival a couple days ago and ended up 6. So this team is so capable and getting so much better that's the monster I got to feed. What I would tell coaches as far as getting ready for playoffs is it's part coach and part psychologist, because there's lots of pressure. And hopefully they've been under that pressure already all season, that the seniors, that rim gets smaller and the clock becomes bigger.
So my interesting is that we keep talking here. Do you think another podcast, maybe we do next week, is approaches to practice in playoffs? Because do you think practice looks identically the same, or do you think
no,
that
I don't.
And
the thing
I'm thinking here is like, if we talk about this is going to be a 45-minute podcast, right, but this is just the reality of good teaching and good coaching, right? We are constantly reevaluating what we're doing. So, Coach, are you cool if next week we talk about what practice looks like for playoffs? Because I think that would be a very good.
No, I think that would be good. I think we should talk about practice. I think
okay, I'm going to write that down
a little bit.
Let's just keep talking a little bit more about this, just the general approach.
Yeah, but the general approach is, especially when you start getting, so there's a couple things I think as coaches you need to do come playoffs, but I think you definitely need to think about, like, we know we're tweaking some stuff because we play one game this week and one game next week, which is very rare during the season. We only have one game a week. So we're thinking playoffs, even for the last regular season game, which is after the seeds come out for tournament. Everything is tournament based. Everything is, how can we get our offense better? How can we get our defense better? Are there any other situations we need to work on? Are there any things like that so everything is based around that tournament game. I don't necessarily tell the boys that.
So is that like a mental checklist for you? Or are you actually?
It is. It's everything. Like we're doing this. We're doing this Sunday before it goes live. It's going to go up on Wednesday. What's that? The 23rd, and we're doing it on the 20th. So seeds you and I were talking. Seeds will come out
2:00
today, this afternoon. We're doing this in the morning, and then from that point on, everything is about that first opponent. And then if you get ready for that first opponent, you're getting ready for your last regular season game.
Because for you, in sense, given your situation, you're not playing for a conference title.
Right.
And we all know that.
Even when I was playing for a conference title, even when we won 14 in a row, the shift was always tournament. It was always.
Because I don't mean to cut you off, but like, don't you feel like you already know that opponent that you're going to play that week before playoffs? I mean,
right, you do.
Right?
Kids know.
You're going to make minor tees. You're going to look at film. That's going to be an easy opportunity. That's going to be, those are some easy fixes. You know what you're getting up against. Like there's, you're not going to do 100 different things to change. You don't want to show everybody either, right? Like this is where you keep everything in your pocket, right? Till playoff time. You make those minor adjustments to the last team that you play in the season. And you know what? And you also, I think you were talking about, like, I'm going to set the tone mentally. Like if a player makes a mistake, I got to set the tone for them. We can do that crap playoff. I'll play somebody else this game just because I want that player to know that they're held accountable. So I think there's other things you can do right in their like you talked about, that mental approach.
Right. It's got to be a shift, and it's got to be a shift for your staff. It's got to be a shift for everybody. And we've been talking about playoffs probably for a month. Like, hey, seniors, you got, there's 27 days until the state finals. Hey, seniors, we're talking about all of that stuff. We're talking about, like, I will this week. It's our last home game. We won't have a home game come tournament time. This is your last home game. This is it. This is the last time you put on a jersey and walk on this floor as a Memorial basketball player. This is the last. I mean, all of that has to be. I want that pressure now. I want it to feel it now, because then when pressure comes in tournament, I'll just say, hey, remember that West game? We felt pressure. Remember this game? We felt pressure. This is nothing. This is nothing. But I downplay it once it gets closer, because I'll already have moved them up. It's like giving them a pre-test from a teaching standpoint,
Right. So you're basically saying that you need to front load, because some of these coaches, they'll go so die hard in the season, right? And then week two, they'll have their game on a Thursday, and then on a Tuesday, more likely, or the next Thursday, they're at playoff time. And if you haven't been talking about it for that long period of time, I don't think they're mentally ready. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, 100%. That's what I'm saying. They're just not ready.
And so for those coaches that have started playoffs, well, I guess this is something that you can learn from the future.
And to be honest with you, to make a run at this thing, my team, we're going to have to, the margin of error is very small. We're going to have to play very good basketball to win.
And they're going to have to believe that they can compete.
Yes. And I think I've got them there. I think
that's the first thing.
And I told them after we lost our most recent game, I said, 6 weeks ago, I didn't think we were very good. 6 weeks ago, I didn't think we were playing very hard. Because we won the hustle. You know, I keep hustle stats, and we won the hustle stat in the last game. I said 6 weeks ago, this locker room wouldn't look like this because you're mad and you're upset. And I got a couple guys crying. I mean, it's like there's feelings, and you wanted something and you didn't get it. 6 weeks ago, it was just been like, it's a game in July in Indianapolis. Oh,
so do you think for coaches too, is that like after a game, at the end of the season, as we move in, how they feel after a loss, like the mentality, like the feel of your locker room can tell you a lot about how they're ready for playoffs, right? Like if they don't give a
they're
crap,
locked. I got them right now. They're locked. We watched, because we lost this game. We lost the most recent game in overtime. And so we don't play for a week. And it was a Friday game, and we had Saturday practice. So Saturday practice, I mean, I'm playing 4 guys like 30 some minutes. So we had a very light practice, but we had an hour and 20-minute film session just going through that game so we could put it in the lockbox and forget about it. And locked. They were locked in. They were locked in. 6 weeks ago, been jokey, you know, making like talking, locked.
But you know, I think that has a lot to do with young boys, right? And we're talking about boys. Boys mature. It's amazing though, by where they are in the beginning of the season to the end, like they're just growing more, right? Especially you have a lot of sophomores. They're just, you know, psychologically, their body, you know, they're just becoming young men.
Yeah,
it's a difference. You know, they start to really understand. It's crazy, right?
I see my son from 15 to 20, because he's going to be 20 next week. Oh my God. It's a bigger jump than from 5 to 10. I'm telling you.
Yes, for sure. I would have to agree with you 100%. Being an early educator, I feel there's difference in knowledge, but like just general mannerisms and things, and it's very similar. But like from a 15-year-old to a 20-year-old, crazy. 15 to 16, crazy. You know,
he's a man. He's a man. Like he can go out in the world and take care of himself,
right?
And I don't have to worry about him. Like he's in, you know, Wyoming. He can get himself home. If he has any questions, he can ask me, and he does still. Because but I don't like. There's a 15-year-old. No, are you kidding me? In fetal position in the middle of the airport or something. I don't know. It'd be horrible. But all right. So next week we're gonna do.
I have approaches to practice during playoff time.
I think that's a great one. All right, so that's a great teaser. We don't usually give teasers, but that'll be
but I like that. I think that's good.
Yeah. All right. Till next week, Coach. Bye.
Till next time.
Hey, Coach. So glad you enjoyed the video. Subscribe and like, and go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better.